Hi guys, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I want to discuss today engagement in the workplace. Engagement is not something that you hear about very much. Um, I don't think a lot of organizations really think about it until it's gotten to the point where there's a lot of issues. Um, so it's really important when you have an HR department that you do have the right people in the right places to have those conversations as regards to engagement. Um, I'm thinking specifically about a recent client that I was working with. There were a lot of problems, and I really needed to dig a little bit deeper to figure out what the problems are at that time. And what I found after meeting not only with the managers but also with their teams, I found that there wasn't any engagement on the teams, the production side, or with management. So you have your CEOs and CFOs that are just going on with their daily lives, and they're not thinking about their managers and feeding them. And what I mean by feeding them, I mean encouraging them, empowering them, motivating them. They need that. Believe it or not, they do need that. They need that pat on the back every now and then. They need to feel like they're important. They need to feel like they have a voice. And when you do not provide that, you start to lose people. So as you're losing those individuals in management, those individuals are not engaging and communicating with their teams in a way that will encourage them to stay with the company and work hard for their organization. So there's just so many things that factor into that whole engagement piece of the puzzle. And what a lot of organizations don't realize is that there's so many things that are involved in engagement. So one of the things I'll touch bases on right now is the millennials. This particular client had probably a handful of millennials, not very many, but they were starting to come into this organization. The organization is a small company, but it brings in maybe, I'm not sure, millions and millions of dollars each year. And with that being said, they're slowly growing, but not fast enough. The CEO, CFO are more concerned with the bottom line, production. And while that's great, you don't have production if you don't have people there to do the work. And your production doesn't increase if you have people that are not motivated. So that's number one. We need to understand that. So that's a conversation that I had to have with the CEO. You're running this business, and it's basically running on fumes. The people are not gassed up. They don't have that energy. They don't have that drive, and it's missing. I mean, let's be honest, it's missing there. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to change that? So you have to look at a few things. So you have individuals that have been there forever, 12 plus years, but now you're starting to bring and incorporate millennials that are new to the organization, and they too need to have that energy and drive fed by their managers, who again are not being fed by their CEOs and directors and so on. Again, this is a small organization that has been around for some time, but they're not really moving with the times. So they're pretty consistent in terms of revenue. They're bringing in probably the same amount of money every year. They're growing, but they're growing extremely slow, and they're trying to figure out why is that? Well, it's broken. The whole connection is broken. There's a disconnect there. And so I had to have that conversation with them regarding the disconnect. Where is the disconnect? Well, that disconnect is with our millennials, it's with the managers, it's with the CEO, so it's really the whole organization as a whole. And it's just really no way to get around that. You have to engage your people. And again, it starts from the top down. That you need to do that. So although you're the CEO, when you have a small family-owned environment, you have to be more involved. You have to be more hands-on. You have to understand what's going on with your people. You have to understand the culture. What kind of culture are you creating? And as you're bringing on millennials, you need to understand that those younger generations, they're driven, they're energetic, they're ready to go, they want to learn, they want to do a great job. They need to be fed. And so if you're not feeding them and you're not giving them something to reach for, you're not cheering them on everything that they do, you're going to lose them really quick, because there are other opportunities for them. This is fresh, this is new to them, this is their beginning of their career, and they don't want to start it with a boring organization. I mean, just let's be honest. If you're a boring organization, you're not driving your people, you're not pushing your people and cheering them on, those millennials are going to leave. They're going to leave. They are only as devoted to you as you are to them. And to be honest, I think more people need to be that way. I've always been that way. So when I have these millennials come on, I love it. I love it because they are demanding the attention. They're demanding the growth. They're demanding a challenge. They want that. And as an organization, you should want to give that to them if you're willing to grow. So this small family-owned organization that I'm thinking about right now, they're not really open to change. So they still have kind of the old attitude that you should just be happy to have a job, and that's not how things work today if you want to grow your business. So we have to first get rid of that type of mentality and way of thinking, that someone should just be happy that they have a job and just show up every day and just work like a robot. That does not work today. Today, people need to be happy. We spend more time at work, and we are realizing that too, that we spend more time at work than we do at home with our families. So when I come to work, I want to enjoy it. I want to have a great time and love and have a passion for what I want, what I'm doing, be empowered to be able to do it, learn from that, grow from that, and be surrounded by people that feel the same way. So when you have a team of millennials in different departments and you see them when they're dragging their feet and they don't look happy, that's because they're not. And that is something you need to take note of. In addition to that, also be open-minded. They have new ideas. When you bring on new employees, whether they're millennials or not, they too have new ideas. And so you have to be open to those new ideas. A lot of new blood in an organization brings new ideas that can really help an organization grow if you're open-minded to and listening to the feedback they're providing, listening to their ideas. You can't be just cut off from the ideas of your employees, or you're going to lose in the end, because you'll be surprised. In a lot of cases, there is so much unutilized talent in organizations because these directors and CFOs believe that it's their way or no way, or their way is the best way. And when you finally get to that point where you see and have conversations with your staff, you get to learn a lot more than you probably had any idea was even there in the organization. You find out who has certain degrees or who has certain knowledge and experience. In addition to that, who has connections on levels that you actually may need. So that's one of the things that I'm digging into with this specific client, is utilizing the talent that you have, the experience, education, the connections, and having an open mind and having meetings regarding so many different things. But also the most important thing is engagement. Engage your people, and your people will usually stay with you for a very long time. So how do we do that? We have to find different ways to do that. But that's what I said about engagement being several pieces to a puzzle. When you're engaging individuals, you have to realize that you're engaging diversity. So, diversity, you have different age groups, you have different backgrounds, you have all of that. So when you are engaging, you have to consider diversity. What drives one person is not going to drive another. So you have so many different things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing that. And that's where your HR department comes in. They can help you by meeting with your people, meeting with your managers, finding out what motivates them. And just to be honest, being a manager many years ago, that's something I did on my own because we didn't have an HR department that had the knowledge and skill sets needed. They didn't really care about engagement. They didn't care about any of that. So for me to make sure that we met our metrics, our goals, I, as a manager, made sure that I engaged my team, having coaching and mentoring sessions, and finding out what's driving them, and then being able to help them get to that next level. So that's really important that they have that. If more companies don't realize this and start really embracing this, they're going to lose, because people are retiring. Frankly, people are getting to retirement, and who are we replacing those individuals with? The millennials, right? So they're coming on board, and you have to be prepared. I'm not saying that you have to turn flips, not at all, but you do have to be able to coach, mentor, and engage, meaning you have to help that millennial understand the needs of the business comes first, but we really are happy to have you here. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you're trying to go, and we want to help you get there. But at the same time, sometimes we have to pull up our sleeves, and we have to do things that we need to do to make sure that we're all accomplishing our goals, our mission and strategic plan that's in place for the company. Again, and I'll reiterate, that's where HR comes in. That's where HR comes in and just lays the law down and say, this is what we need. This is what we need to do. This is what I'm noticing. When you have an HR person that is in an office and all they're worrying about is onboarding, recruiting, benefits, all that, and not really worried about the training, mentoring, engagement, diversity, how to make the office more live and energetic, but still stay professional and productive. If your HR team is not doing that, then you have the wrong HR team. So I want to say that too. That's another video that I'll be discussing some of that about having the right people in the right place. So for now, I just want to go ahead and touch bases on that engagement and diversity piece of it, because they really do tie in together. So that's all for tonight. I wish everybody well and have a pleasant evening. Thank you.